Hello, welcome to today's show. I am joined by Gerald and Jane, aka Chiro Sounds and Midwest Night Watchers. So, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
I love your intro.
Thank you. Oh, I'm glad you like the intro because, as you probably know, I got slated for it.
For that intro?
Yeah, it's if you want adults to watch your show, you need to get rid of the cartoony, Halloweeny style intro.
Yeah,
Oh,
I saw that.
House. I'm like, yeah, all right, sort yourself out.
I like it.
I like it. I was
the
back there
music.
just dancing.
Oh, I like cartoons, so that's how it goes.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Everybody
So-
in your chat likes it. They all
Yeah.
said, "Get ready to dance."
Everybody was dancing.
Well, that's it. I thought I've done the ones where it's been like the spooky type of music, and then I thought, do you know, I need something a little bit more catchy, sort of a bit of kick. So
Yeah, I
I
like
like
it.
that's what it is. Thank you. So that's it. Oh, there is no Nicole tonight. She is off to a Paracon somewhere in America. That's all I know.
Oh, wow.
It's about
Nice.
a 2-3 hour drive. So she'll be back with us on Wednesday.
Not a birthday party.
No, that's Tommy.
Ah,
Yeah, it's Tommy
you
does the
could-
birthday parties.
you could have, like a special sub guest when Tommy or whoever's on a birthday party leave.
Yeah, I
You
know.
should have a standby.
I should get is just someone dressed up in a big birthday cake. I think that'd be the ultimate thing, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, just say it's a
Oh.
birthday. It's a birthday show, and we're gonna have cake here, so you might as well come and join us.
Surprise.
Yeah, exactly that. Oh, sorry, it's a bit bright. Just turn the light down a touch. So, do you know what we're going to be talking about?
Stuff in the sky.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do
Yes.
some sky watching, some nighttime stuff.
Ooh, yes, that sounds like a plan. Should we do you want me to put the videos up now? Or do you want to
Sure.
wait?
Don't matter.
You can bring up anyone you want to start with. I mean, whether it's the Big Dipper or any
Yeah.
of the other ones, and we'll just go from there and see where it leads us. And
Yeah. I'm just going to get them on. There we go. So while they're downloading, I'm going to put the I can't speak. What are they called? Pictures. The horse.
oh yeah, the horses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good story
Oh.
behind those horses.
Oh, is there? Right.
Yeah.
Let me get them. All right. Everything stream. I don't know if it's happened with you, but StreamYard's moved everything about,
Yeah,
and nothing is where it should. Well, it's not where it was, and you try and rearrange it, and you just keep putting it back. So Right. Should we do the horse first then?
Yes. Yeah. Let's
Is that
touch
right?
on the horses.
Right. So this is the first image. Any particular order? Or are you
Nope.
okay
No.
as it come
Nope.
out?
Nope. They're all pretty similar.
Okay. So here's the first one. So that's is that a knot in the mane?
Yep.
Like
It's
someone's
not,
tied a bow?
it's not just a knot, it's braided and it's also kind of dreadlocked and it's tied down at the bottom into a knot.
So as you can see that from the top of the mane, it actually has a void there where they actually looped it together. Then it's braided and it's got grass and hay and straw in them.
Yeah. Ah.
And these are
Now,
called fairy knots or witches' knots. I'm now calling them Sasquatch notches.
Right. So do you have any video evidence of any of this happening?
No.
I don't think any horse owners, so many horse owners go out and they claim that, oh, it's rubbing up against a fence. Well, what would made it the braids and the dreadlocks and tying it in a knot? And
Yeah.
there's been a lot of reports of these braids and stuff happening to the horses.
So this is the next one. Is that the same one?
I haven't seen it move.
Yeah. I did actually put the next picture up, but it, there
There
we
you
go.
go. Yep.
There you go.
So there's
That's-
actually two horses. This is the same one as you showed before. We just wanted to get a better picture of it.
Yeah. And
So
I
there's
just
actually two horses on this farm where we went out and bought our baby goats from, and we just happened to notice these knots. And I was friends with the owner, and Jane is too, but I grew up playing softball and stuff with the guy, the farmer, and I asked him about it. I said, hey, so who did the braids on your horses? And he kind of acted kind of spooked or didn't really want to talk about it, kind of standoffish. And we've been friends forever, so it's not.
Yeah.
He doesn't like talking to us.
Oh.
Then I pressed him one more time, and he finally said, well, I think my granddaughter is doing that. So he's acting like he was surprised that they were even in the mains.
Yeah.
So that was kind of weird. Then, us doing some of the stories that we cover, we found out, about the elves and witches and,
fairies.
The folklore is that they'll come in at night and they will ride your horse and they put the knots and braids in there. And then they bring your horse back and it's usually all sweaty and like it's been rode all night.
Right.
Now they had miniature horses and they had miniature donkeys. None of them had it, just the two large horses.
Wow. So was there any disruption in the night? Did you hear anything strange going on or?
No, we were there during the day, so we're assuming this probably happens at night. We don't know, or because the farmer, like I said, the farmer actually was kind of startled by it. He seemed anyway, like he didn't really want to talk about it, didn't really know how it got there. So because they take pretty good care of their animals, so I'm assuming they brush out these horses and their animals, their sheep and their goats.
Now, if you look up witches' knots online, you'll find all kinds of articles and pictures. And, like I said, a lot of people don't want to believe in the paranormal. So they think they're just rubbing up against a fence. And I don't buy that. That wouldn't cause braids. And
well, the thing I've noticed, I don't know if you guys have noticed. So you look at where the neck connects to the horse's shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The one with the dark hair and the one blonde hair, the blonde haired horse, it's in the same place down the mane.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Now we were also told that juvenile Bigfoot likes to come up and play at the horses and put knots and stuff in their manes.
Yeah, it just seems too coincidental from two different horses to have the same thing happen in the exact same part of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And did that happen the same night, or was this on two separate occasions?
We're not sure. It could have been there for a few days. So it's just we took up our three goats.
Both pictures were on the same day that we went and picked up our baby goats.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So we don't know if they actually happened at the same time, but they had them at the same time while we were there.
And I just knew about them before right away. I instantly knew, like, oh my gosh, these are witches' knots, because I've seen pictures and I've heard stories about it.
See, Og's just put in saying, wouldn't the horses get spooked if it was a
No, they
big
say
cryptid?
they put them in a trance. They've got this sonic, or they put them in a like a trance.
Yep.
I mean, really, depending on how you look at it, a cryptid or a Bigfoot specifically, it could be flesh and blood, could be an animal. They could be, they might be used to the horses, or if they're in the area all the time, who knows? I mean, I'm assuming they come in there and pet them and do braids in their hair because they like them. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose if they're being calmed down, then they're not gonna go off and do anything. So if they're being relaxed by whatever it is that's doing it, and what's the word?
Hypnotized in a trance.
Yeah, like meditation sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like a low humming noise or something, like a white noise or something like that. I don't know if it has the same effect on animals as what it does humans.
Now, on the other hand, right down the road from us is another farm that's friends of ours.
Yeah.
They have donkeys and horses and stuff, kind of the same setup, basically. But we'll hear them just kicking up a storm late at night, like midnight, 3 o'clock in the morning. They're going crazy. So once again, we heard from people that, juveniles go in there and play with them and have fun. And so they might be out there just creating a ruckus on that farm.
And both of these farms are right on the Illinois River. So one is a mile down our road. The farm that we got the goats and where the horses were is 2 miles up the road. So that is the same tree line all along that river. That would be the Sasquatch.
So have you been in the area, like checking it out and looking for any clues or anything?
I sit in my backyard. I mean, I've done some search in the fields when the fields are down. There is like a den, like an animal den that could possibly be used for cryptids. You don't know. No. I've heard all kinds of noises. I mean, all kinds. I've heard whoops. I've heard the howls. I've heard whoop, 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 whoop with the coyotes, and coyotes don't do that. So I know they're in the area. I've never seen one.
We'll go down to the farms eventually. We haven't talked to the owners specifically because we don't know if we should necessarily say, hey, we want to investigate for Bigfoot. We don't know how they feel necessarily about that, but we have access. We can go mushroom hunting and stuff like that on their property if we wanted to, if we asked. So we might do it that way. So that'll have to be next season, unless we go out this fall. We could possibly go out this fall.
Yeah. So has anybody else around the area spoken to you about anything happening?
People don't talk like that.
Not in our small town anyway. If they do, it's probably in private.
I think there's only a couple people in town know that we're even doing this broadcast and filming stuff.
Right. So
and I think farmers keep
you've got your work cut out then.
Huh?
You've got your work cut out.
Yep.
I think farmers keep to themselves. They don't want everyone to think they're crazy. So if they see something while they're farming, a Sasquatch or something, they're not going to tell anybody.
No. And the thing is as well, they don't want to draw attention to it because you think about how many people are going to turn up from around the country.
Exactly. That'll be a hot spot and people start showing up and being all over their property.
Well, I bring it up on our shows and I start having black helicopters show up and fly over. So I'm trying to kind of lay low and be quiet about it too. And they've gone over to that area where I think they are too.
Really?
Yeah. So I've been kind of a little bit quieter than normal.
Yeah.
And the helicopters have been slowing down too.
I mean, we have sensed that they're around by ourselves anyway, without stuff like this happening. Right. So we really don't want to broadcast it too much as far as giving them an exact location where they're at or where we think they're at, so that if anybody is watching and wants to come, a 3-letter people, we don't really want to give that out.
Yeah.
The last time I saw the low helicopter fly across the field behind us and head straight over to the river, the last 2 months has been quiet. I'm not hearing sounds. I'm not sensing them watching me. There's no rocks gifting to me this year. It's been quiet the last couple of months because I think it's the helicopters.
Yeah.
And I did focus one night because I felt lonely and sad. Like, oh man, I miss these guys. I miss hearing the sounds. And so I meditated and almost like mind speak, telepathy. And I said, are you guys okay? And I did hear back, not safe, not safe. And then I got an image of a black helicopter.
Oh.
So I think they took off for a while.
Yeah.
Plus, it was about this time that the farmer down the road from us was thinking they had foxes or coyotes, so they actually hired hunters to go out and hunt. So I think they left the area because of that too, because they know, of immediate danger or somebody that's out there with weapons.
Yeah.
So do you think either both of you or either of you being tracked?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have a lot of weird stuff with our electronics happen, and
yeah,
I mean, just like everybody else that has shows, and all of a sudden it's like, well, how's come my stuff's glitching now, but it didn't do it on this other show, and we weren't discussing what we were discussing on this one.
And I can't tell you how many times I've messaged someone talking about something, and within that day or the next day, the helicopters show up, and I'm going, that's not a coincidence.
It is interesting. But then,
I mean, how do you prove it? I mean, you can't really.
Yeah.
It's just our suspicion or guess. I mean, just like when we're hearing everybody else talk about it, and then all of a sudden we start noticing, well, that's kind of happening to us too.
Yeah. I think it's proving it though, isn't it? That's the difficult bit. But is it only helicopters that you've noticed? Have you noticed any other like road vehicles or drones?
Once in a while, I've seen some dark window vehicles just kind of drive by and kind of makes you wonder. And low planes. There's been a lot more like private planes. And now when we were kids, we'd have these private little low planes.
Yeah.
It does seem like there's been a lot more private planes that I've been hearing.
So what are the rules and regulations for light aircraft for landing? Can they land? So say the farmers' fields and it's big enough to land. If they get permission from the landowner, are they allowed to land in that field? Or
I think only emergency. I think it'd have to be emergency. Otherwise, you have to make it because we have a county airport. Then we have a couple big cities, probably 30, 40 miles away. So if they can make it there, they have to go there. But just like you see on any TikTok or Instagram or whatever, there is that instance where a small plane has to have an emergency landing. So I think that is generally the rule. I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
But we've never had anybody land in the field behind us. So no helicopter, no plane or anything. It'd have to be a pretty small plane because there's no runway. I mean, it's just straight out field, it has corns and
so there's nothing where it's just flat and it's just like
no. I mean, it's all flat because of the cornfield, but it's usually bumpy and corn stalks.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a good landing, but they could possibly do it in an emergency. But
no, I was just wondering, that was all, because if the light aircrafts are flying over, then that just seems a bit odd.
Yes, well, I know there's a farmer in our area. I think he's too old now. I don't think he's flown, but he has a runway in between his fields, and his plane is there. But I don't think there's that many farmers around here that.
No, but he has a biplane because their family, one of them, I think it was him. I think the oldest brother was in the war and he flew planes. So he has an old biplane. So it's obviously, and it's bright yellow, so you can spot it a mile away. But these other ones aren't anything like that.
So have you got markings on the other ones that you've noticed? Or the planes?
Well, a lot of the black helicopters and stuff don't have any numbers on them.
No.
Mm-mm.
Now the small planes, I don't know. We haven't really caught them necessarily on film or take pictures of them, so I don't really know if I'm assuming they probably had tail numbers, but I don't know.
So
usually we're in the house doing something. We hear the bzzz,
Yeah, you can just hear that sound. Yeah, it's just a certain sound of these little private little planes.
Yeah. And there's nobody around the area that you know of that's a pilot other than the guy with the biplane.
Yeah. I don't think that old guy is even flying his plane anymore. He's still farming, but I don't think he's flying anymore.
And they're not crop spraying or anything like that, are they?
No, that's a different plane. Yeah, you can hear you can hear the sound. Like I run out, I'm going, oh gosh, I know the sound of the crop plane. It's fun watching that.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering because I'm just trying to not debunk it, but like different options of what it could be or what it couldn't be. Have you made a note of what time of day or night that they're flying over? The planes, not the helicopters.
All time. Yeah.
It's just random.
I mean, we haven't actually wrote it down or tracked it, but it does seem like it's during the day mostly. But we get life flights that go up and down. We got hospitals. Like I said, bigger cities, are 30, 40 miles away, so they're constantly going from Chicago to those to the other big cities. So at night, it's kind of hard to tell if it's a life flight or it could be something else. But I mean, we don't know. We're not 100% sure what it is. We just have our suspicions once in a while that seems strange.
Yeah, I just don't believe in coincidences. There's one time I've been watching them, go up on one side of our town, and then I see them going down, up the river on the other side of the town, and I can see them from my backyard, about maybe a mile, 2 miles away. Well, I flipped one off one afternoon and I went back inside. Well, within a minute, I kept hearing it. So I came back outside. Well, that thing turned around and was going across our field. The field was behind us. I kind of went, is that a coincidence? That, I've heard that even a satellite can zoom in and see what you're reading on a newspaper. So who knows, what they're spying on.
Wow, yeah, because you don't know what tracking systems they've got. They don't know what tech they're using.
Yep. I know our little cameras in the backyard can zoom in nice. Well, I can imagine they've got on their helicopters and stuff.
I mean, we do get into once in a while, a couple touchy subjects, and bring stuff up or talk about stuff. I mean, if they're worried about us, I think they got the dog sniffing up the wrong tree. But I mean, we're just interested in it and, love talking about all these subjects. So I don't know. Would they pay attention to us? Maybe.
I don't know.
Do I think they are? Probably not. I don't know. It's just weird.
It's how close to the truth that you're getting, and I think that's what unnerves them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on how many followers you end up getting, and I think the more you get, the more they start paying attention to you. It's like, oh, hey, they're starting to get an audience.
There is that. So have you had regarding the helicopters and planes and vehicles and that, have you had any dodgy looking characters anywhere near your farm or even in the town? Just people that don't fit in?
No, not really. I mean, we had a rule in our town, no solicitors or anything without signing into the city. Not that anybody that was working undercover would go there and announce that or would be able to say that. But no, not particularly.
And we don't get out much either. We stay home. We go out and get our groceries and animal feed, and we're back home. So we don't get out that much to see the public.
Yeah. Sorry, 1 second. No, because someone just put, where is it? Brian, portals are near you, Gerald and Jane.
Yes, we've had possible portals. This would probably be about 7 years ago now that we first got our ATN night vision binoculars. And I did see this square, and it kind of looked glitchy, but this square was moving along the tree line over there by the train tracks. And I was getting ready to record it on my binoculars and it fried out the binoculars totally. And we couldn't fix them and send them back in the company, and they sent us a new one. And then we do have another video of something. It's almost like a Tesla ball, the little lightning things that you touch the ball.
Yeah.
appeared on top of the trees over there. And we've got a video of that. So we're thinking, what is that? That's not an orb or anything.
Really,
so we're guessing a portal.
Really strange, It's kind of an area where we were filming orbs anyway and stuff going across the fields and along the railroad tracks. But then high up in the tree was that it just grew from a little tiny thing to a bigger mass.
And you
and
kind
like
of see
Dean
lightning.
said, it looks like one of those glass balls that have purple electricity going to the glass. It looked like that. And we zoomed in, I was able to crop it in and look at it. And it's like, oh my gosh, that looks like an energy field or something developing right there in the tree.
Yeah. So do you believe that these I'm not going to say government, but agency, human
I'm
technology?
thinking interdimensional beings like Fae and things like that coming in the.
Yeah.
Because
we were thinking elementals.
Yeah, elementals. I'm thinking more Sasquatch and the elemental part.
Well, this is the thing, because I didn't realize till a bit ago. I can't remember who I was speaking to, and then it just, when you're talking and stuff starts making sense. That Sasquatch, Bigfoot is part of the elemental.
It's all connected, I think. Yeah. Mushrooms, trees, everything. They're connected to the forest, and I think it's all connected. Some of our videos and pictures, you can tell they're orbs, you can tell they're bugs, so you can tell it's a bat, but some of them actually have a trail behind them. And we have been told that looked like a fairy. So it could be that we've got fairies flying all over too.
Yeah. Because I was reading something today about flowers and bees. It might seem a bit off subject, but when the bees are going out pollinating and it's coming like towards the end of the season, if there's any plants or flowers that have still got a lot of nectar in them, when there's a bee nearby, it sends out an electrode that kind of like touches the bee, like the hairs on its back, and tries to pull it in towards it to let the bee know that there's still nectar and pollen to be taken from the plant so it can be repollinated.
Yep.
Wow.
So if a plant, don't know, 2 inches, 2 foot, whatever size, can do that it knows that there's another creature there that can take stuff from it and take it to wherever it's going to go to.
Wow.
And surely there's a lot more to all this that we've not got a clue.
Right. You think trees and plants just have a root system that goes down and it's right there. No, it spreads out and it sends out signals and frequencies just like you were talking about. Because I just saw a report the other day where a tree, if it has like, say, a disease or a bug, an insect invades it, and it eats the leaves and stuff, it's like an invasive species, they can actually send out a frequency or distress signal, and all the trees around it will start producing enzymes that particular bug does not like to save the rest of the trees. So they communicate, whether it's through the roots or through physical signals that we can't detect. And I don't know if anybody's actually picked them up, recording wise or not, but this scientific study says that they can communicate between each other. So I imagine all the plants. I mean, we always talk about how Mother Earth and everything's connected, whether it's paranormal, elementals. I mean, how many times have we heard stories about elementals helping Bigfoot use trees as portals?
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing.
People talk about, grounding with Mother Earth and hug a tree, and get the good vibrations and the frequencies and well-being from the tree. So it's a living, breathing organism. And plus it's able to communicate with other species.
And we look in the mushrooms. If you look into the network of a mushroom, not just fairy rings, but they've got a network in the ground. Where was Bob from, Gero? Was that Oregon? That Bob,
out west somewhere,
biggest mushroom network thing in the ground. And I mean, if you look into that, we had mushrooms pop up last year. They weren't the same mushroom. They were between the garden and the animal pens, but there's like 50 different kinds of mushrooms all in that area. And I'm going, okay, I think we've got a network somewhere down below too.
Yeah. Wow. So because you were saying before coming out, you were saying about Barry Littleton, and when I spoke to him in the past, it was him that mentioned about Bigfoot using trees as portals.
Mhm.
So when he was talking about it, I was thinking that when you hear these tree knocks, are they knocking to see what frequency the tree gives off to see if that can be used as a Stargate portal, whatever?
Right.
Well,
Could it be that, or is it a communication thing?
I think it can be both. I think it's a verbalization, a warning. Sometimes tree knocks, but the other times I think it's tree knocks to, hey, they're waking up the elementals. Hey, I need your help. I want access to this to go somewhere, and they know which trees it is.
Mhm. Or it's a
Just like Barry and Jessica Jones have talked before that, how many times have people reported that they've seen a Bigfoot or whatever it is, and they go behind a tree, then next thing you know, they don't see him no more. So that leads to the fact that trees could be used as portals, or they're hiding somehow or disappearing that way. And the old Native American folklore is that, the elementals, you're not supposed to knock on trees, knock on woods. That's actually wrong because you awaken the elementals or spirits in the wood.
Yeah.
And we also have heard that some people think that they're not actually hitting a tree. They're making that sound with their mouth.
Like a clicking type noise.
Some people believe that it's actually they're making the sound. Because you don't see damage on trees. As loud as some of those knocks are, they're not seeing, where something's been hitting and beating the tree. So they believe that they're making the sound by their mouth.
Yeah, because
I can't remember who it was. I think it's D.A. Robertson that can actually do it.
Yeah.
And everybody's just going, wow.
Yeah, because if they're smacking a tree, look how hard they'd have to hit that. They'd be, if it's got whether it's got bark on it or not, if it's got bark on it, the bark's going to be dented.
Right.
If there's no bark on it, you're going to have horizontal, vertical lines where they've been smacking the wood across the side of it. So either way, there's going to be visual proof.
I mean, every kid growing up has probably hit a baseball bat against a tree or knocked something again, or seen a tree that a car has brushed up the bumper against it. And there's obvious damage, there's obvious dents or whatever. I mean, you can physically see that. But when you go out and you hear a knock or whatever, and you go to that tree or that area, you just don't see anything like that you would think should be there.
No. But then I wonder if anyone's heard of any tree knocks in an area where there's no trees. I wonder if that's ever been reported.
That's a possibility. That'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah, because then I think that would give proof to he said like D.A. Roberts, if it was him that had said about them making the clicking noises.
Like, and I'm pretty sure he's the one that can actually do it with his mouth, and
Yeah, I interviewed him, but I can't remember if he's done it or not. I don't even know if he spoke about Bigfoot. I couldn't.
It was the last time. I don't know if. I think it was the last time DA was on with us that he brought that up. And that was the first time I had ever heard it.
And I've heard it on other shows now too, that a lot of these guys that are going out, on a regular basis investigating are thinking that they're actually doing it by mouth.
But there's a lot of civilizations or tribes that click with their mouths and make those sounds. So it's like, obviously it's a communication thing, and they have a pretty wide range of making those noises. So I can imagine that possibly they could too, the Sasquatch.
Yeah, because I remember watching, it was on TikTok, but I remember watching, they'd met this tribe and they're asking them the names. And there's one guy, they asked him his name, and it was just noises, it wasn't words. And it was the clicking and the popping and all that kind of stuff. It sounded more like a dolphin, if anything, than anything else. So, yeah, so unless you're there, you're not going to know, are you?
Right. And then, you go out in the trees in the woods, around us, and you see like the white dead oaks or, the trees out there.
Yeah.
Well, it's also been brought up that if they use the same tree over and over without giving it rest, that eventually it takes so much energy out of the tree that they end up dying. So are those markers of portals for trees, the ones that you find out in the woods that have no bark and are all dead?
That's a good thought.
This is what I've always wondered this, but I hadn't put this to it, that when like you're out in a forest or a woods, and there's like one dead tree in the middle. It's like,
Mm.
how is
Mhm.
that one dead, but none of the others are? It's
Right.
still. I'm talking about ones that's still rooted. It's pretty much, it's the same
Yep.
type of tree or similar trees that are already there. And it's like, as you got a bank, like where they're all banked together, it's like, surely the roots are all connected. How can one not be feeding, but the others are?
Yeah.
I've never understood that.
Yeah. So I mean that's what they say. That's what the speculation is now going forward, that if they're being used as portals, that if you keep using them over and over, then you're going to end up killing that tree by taking that much energy out of it.
Yeah. I suppose it's like, I was just thinking then, like a mobile phone. If you're constantly using the battery on it, if you're on 24/7 on your phone, it's going to drain the battery and eventually it's not going to recharge. So similar sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you've ever talked to a channeler or a medium, if they continually have a long session that they're physically exhausted, they have to recoup and relax and take time off because they've used so much energy out of their body, not only their mental capability, but their physical, while they're doing this. So I imagine it's the same for the trees. And, maybe Sasquatch can't do it as often as we think they can. Maybe they have to have a certain amount of rest to be able to use a portal or transport,
Yeah.
I don't
it's
know.
Like when you go out doing an investigation, they call it a paranormal hangover. So when you've had activity in that, even though you're out for a couple of hours, the next day you are absolutely drained. It's like you've been on the day for a week without stopping, and then you're trying to recuperate, and
Right.
it's like all I've done is walk around the woods or a cemetery for like 2 hours. Why am I feeling like this? But it's the energy that you're using, and you don't know if there's something there that's taking the energy from you,
Right.
or putting a different type of energy into you to try and communicate. Maybe that could have like an adverse effect. I don't know, but yeah, the paranormal hangover is what it's known as.
Yep.
Yeah, we were interviewing someone several months ago, and they were with a channeler, and they were talking about Sasquatch. The Sasquatch was in the area, and she was communicating for him. And he says, "Well, if they're around, can you please shake that tree over there?" Well, she got channeled from the Sasquatch saying, "I don't want to shake that tree. That would hurt him. That's my friend." So that really makes you wonder, like, they take care of their forest. Why would they beat it with a stick to make tree knocks? So that's why I kind of think, I think they may be on to something. They take care of the trees. They don't want to harm them because they see them as friends.
Well, yeah. I suppose it's like not lions. I only found this out the other week, well, a few months ago, that I thought all cats could purr, but they can either roar or purr. They can't do both. So the bigger cats, like the tiger and the lion, only roar. But I think I'm not sure if it's the puma and the lynx and that they purr. It's either one or the other, not both.
Oh.
So if they have the ability to make these two different noises, not the roaring, like the purring, then why can something that we believe is more supernatural not have the ability to make all these other different noises? If they've got different, don't know what you call them, the wobbly bit in the back of your throat.
Right.
I can't remember the name of it. If maybe they've got 3 or 4 different ones, so they can use like different octaves.
Yeah, they said when you hear a scream, you can hear a high pitch. You hear different pitches, a low pitch, high pitch.
Yeah.
Well, we can't do anything like that, but they're able to do it somehow. Like they got extra. I don't remember what it was called. I think it was Ron Moorhead. He's got there's something in their throat that projects out several different pitches.
Yeah, I know someone will put it in the chat in a minute what they're called, and the other screen's over there, and I wouldn't know what to type in anyway. But but I'm sure I think that was D.A. Roberts that was talking to that mentioned about the. I'm sure he said they've got 2. They believe they've got 2 or 3 different ones.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Wow. But
that
you
might
know,
mentioned, yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that it could be possible, because look at somebody like Steve Perry that has such a high and low range in their music. Look at opera singers.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
assuming
Oh, yeah.
they don't have 2 or 3 hanging in the back of their throat.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but how can
no, I
you do all
suppose
the
not.
sounds at the same
But they,
time, though? You know, you
yeah,
hear
but
the
they've
high and
trained
you
for
hear all of them.
years. Yeah.
Well, there's people, and I'm not trying to bunk it or anything or say
No.
anything, but I mean, just look at beatbox people. They can
Yeah.
do two sounds at the same time.
Yeah.
But I know, because I know a lad that does it.
The
or used
guttural,
to
the
do it,
guttural.
and they do it from like the top of the chest,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it's kind of like I'm sure it's like a humming noise that they push up and through, but they can kind of do it while they're talking or singing or whatever. So
I mean, that's the other thing.
I've tried
how
it.
did they, you know, I know
Can't
the
do it.
guttural sounds, you know, where you hear the whoops and the real bassy things, but
Yeah.
how do they send out their infrasound? How do they send
Right.
that out?
Oh yeah. See,
Yeah.
I thought about this. So all I can put it down to, without going into like loads of detail, when you burp, you do a really strong belch, and it comes up from like your diaphragm, and you talk at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
That, but if you could control that burping and release it as and when you want, then I suppose that's one way of doing it. But how long would it take to get to that point?
Yeah, that's what you know, I've thought about this many times, and Jane and I have talked about, you
Yeah.
know, infrasound and all this, you know, just bouncing stuff off each other late at night and stuff.
Yeah.
I almost think it's almost like a Marvel superhero where they have abilities, you know, so they don't have to try to project a burp. I think it's just some kind of energy that comes out of them. So I don't know how they produce it. I don't know if it comes out of their hands or it just comes out of their body or their chest area, but they can send out frequencies that are infrasounds.
But this is what I was saying, like with the cat. So, like a normal domestic house cat, when they're sat in your lap and they're purring,
Right.
how loud and the vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So, if an animal 1 foot square, let's say, can do that, imagine what a 1,200-pound, 7-foot human-like creature can do.
That makes sense.
Yep.
That's the only thing I've got on that.
There's just so many mysteries that we just don't know. We just have to sit here and speculate and try to figure out what makes sense to us, and that might not even be the answer.
Well, I was going to say we're probably all wrong anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, someday when I'm out there, and if I end up talking to one, I'll ask these important questions. Maybe
there'll be a Bigfoot watching it somewhere, going,
"We're gonna have a podcast.
Not even close." Yeah,
we're gonna have the sassy podcast and ask some serious questions.
Sassy podcast. The Sassy Show.
Yeah. See, so would you say then that Bigfoot, Sasquatch, is more supernatural than paranormal?
Yeah, I think when they're here, they are flesh and blood because they're in the 3D earth, but I think they're multi-dimensional, interdimensional, and they've got gifts.
Yeah.
I don't think they're just flesh and blood having families here on earth. I think, you know, they know how to use the portals. Well, where are they going? They've got to be going to other dimensions, and so I think they're highly gifted, and they're either from another planet or another realm. I mean, I think dimensions are kind of realms.
Yeah,
that's what I'm guessing.
Totally agree on that, Gerald.
I mean, I agree with that. And once again, these are one of the subjects that me and Jane just talk about, and it kind of evolves, you know, depending on what information we get. So I think they are flesh and blood, but I also think they have abilities, just like humans. We all have abilities. Like when we're younger, then we kind of shut them off, whether it's imaginary friends or seeing paranormal stuff. We kind of shut that down. So I think there are living blood and flesh Sasquatch or cryptids that live here and just go about their lives like we do. But then there's those certain ones that have gifts that practice it, just like shaman or medicine men and Native Americans. There's an appointed one, and there's other ones that just have their abilities come to them.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say it's like us, like with like you just said, like with the Shaolin monks and like medicine men, witch doctors, whatever you call them, whatever road you go down. But I'm not. So with what you just said, then Jane and Gerald, about the realms and dimensions, I believe that they are solid form, but like you said, they do have the ability to change their frequency. So whether they change the frequency so that it's out of our sight and that's why we can't see them, or they can change their frequency to exist in another dimension, but they're kind of like they're still there, but all the dimensions are like just crossed over. It's someone said it's like on a vinyl record, it's one groove all the way around, but you can easily flick to the next one, to the next one. They're all there. They're all right in the same place. It's just that little step over into it.
Right.
So each groove has a different frequency.
Yeah, that's why you can feel them and sense them next to you, or you can smell them, but you're not seeing them. They're probably in the fourth and fifth, right next to you, and they're able to see down in our dimension. We just can't get our frequency high enough to actually see in their dimensions. They've got some kind of gift.
So would you think, though, that there's not just one third dimension? There could be multiple 3 dimensions that are all running parallel to each other. So say you've got 10 3 dimensions, but each one is a slightly different frequency to the next.
Yeah, I think it's just like the multiverse in the Doctor Strange. I think there's multiples of us in all these dimensions. They're all right there, access to us, but whether we have the ability or the know-how to do that. But I just brought it up the other night on the show. I really think that people are waking up and they're starting to get these abilities. So that leads me to believe that when a timeline next to us dissolves or ends, and those abilities come back home to us, so we start getting abilities that that person in that dimension had, our double or doppelganger in that other dimension, that they come back to source, they come back to us. So somehow we had all these abilities. I think somehow we got split up in a timeline, so nobody had one super ability. But now that some of these timelines are ending, these are slowly coming back to people. And I think that's why people are starting to find their abilities and waking up and being able to do these wonderful things.
But do you feel, though, that now when you have you wake up and you have a certain emotion for that day, and there's no rhyme or reason as to why you're feeling like that, do you think that could be part of what you've just been talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time. Jane will wake up and say, man, was I here all night? You know, like she was off on a space mission, or she did something traveling through the night. And it says, well, as far as I know, you were right next to me all night. And unless they put a body double there and took you somewhere else. I mean,
or you wake up in a very bad mood. You don't know what you dreamed about or where you went. I mean, that's happened to me, and Gerald looked at me like, okay, I'm staying away from you until you have your coffee.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
You just woke up. How bad of a mood can you be when you just woke up? Like, seriously.
Yeah. Even on a Monday morning, you got to get up and go to work. It's like annoyed, but not ready for going around on a killing spree or something. But no, that's what I was getting at. It's like you're so annoyed and you don't even know yourself the reasons why. There's nothing that's caused it, nothing provoked it. You've not had an argument with anyone, not fallen out. It's not all kicked off on social media, nothing like that. And then for some reason, you can't shake it off either. It doesn't matter what you do, every little thing, the tiniest little thing annoys you.
It's spiritual warfare that we're all going through. I'm talking to a lot of people. They're just going through struggles. And Gerald knows I've gone through this the last few weeks. I'm just emotional, just crying, instantly, or angry, or these thoughts coming in. Like, where did that thought come from? Just the mood swings. I feel the heaviness. So you got to concentrate on getting your vibrations high and just get it out of here. And it's been a struggle. And I think we're all going through this. We're being attacked. They don't want us to get higher, so they're trying to bring us down.
Yeah. Well, for 2 weeks, a week ago, I was like that well, nearly 3 weeks. I wasn't feeling well either, so I think that played a big part in it. But I was just like nothing. It just felt not everything was wrong. Everything's fine, works fine, home life's fine, channel's fine, everything. Nothing's going, well, not going wrong, but everything's running out how it should. I'm like, why am I feeling that? What is going on? And then weekend just gone, I've started feeling a bit better, and each day now I'm just back to what I was before. I feel like I'm on a higher level. And then when you saying before about tree hugging and that, because I drive for a living, so when I'm in and out of the van, but if I get the opportunity, and it sounds stupid, but I don't care, if I get the opportunity to walk on grass, even though I've got my shoes, the trainers on, whatever, as soon as I step on that grass, it's like a massive relief, like a big wave's gone over me. And as soon as I stand back on the concrete, on the pavement, sidewalk, it's kind of like back to reality. It's a weird feeling. I've never not felt it before until this year, not even as a kid. But as soon as you step on the
man-made pavement and buildings and houses that we live in, everything that we do insulates us from Mother Earth. It insulates us so we don't get the true effect. Actually, we get the negativity because it's a worse frequency than, say, like when if you've ever watched or listened to any of the podcasts or even read articles about the difference between polyester, rayon, and cotton and linen on how they affect your body, the frequencies that, linen was always used in medical hospitals all through the wars and growing up through the Depression and all that. They always used linen, natural cloth. That was for healing for the body, for it to breathe and to refresh itself. Well, now we got all this synthetic stuff. The same thing with the concrete and the asphalts. That's just keeping us from getting that frequency or that connection with Mother Earth.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And I've noticed, as you were saying that, most of the clothes that I now wear are cotton based. There's not many that are synthetic material, other than a couple of pairs of shorts that I wear when I go to the gym or go out on the kayak and that, because it's just easier to brush the water off. As you know, if you wear cotton, it just soaks it up, and then you start getting cold. It's like, oh, can't be bothered with this. But other than that,
even if you dress up to go out or go, if you go to office and have to wear a suit or whatever, when you come home, make sure you have a cotton or linen shirt or shorts or whatever you can put on to kind of contradict that day that you just went through in society. Be at home and be able to ground and help your body out that way.
Yeah, but like I said, just through talking to you two now, I've just been going through my head of my work uniform. Only waited 5 years for it, but anyway, I've got it now. The clothes that I wear now, clothes that I wear when I go out, including my shorts, jeans, whatever it is, I'd say 95% of the clothing that I actually wear is cotton based.
Nice.
So
if you can do that, that's fantastic.
That.
Not only that, but go back to the cotton and linen sheets. I mean that. We don't know. A lot of these places sell the mixed fibers and all that stuff on our bed sheets. And once again, you'll see people talk about grounding your bed sheets to Mother Earth. That whether it's the copper wire going out the window down to the ground or just the linen itself.
Yeah.
The most important time while we're resting and regenerating our body, we need that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just doing it though, isn't it? It's having that thinking process and then putting it into play.
Right.
And I think once you start, then you realize, and it does change the way you think and how you do stuff.
Yep, it's mental training. I mean, you just got to get your way of life back on track, doing stuff like that. And it's just little changes sometimes. It's not really even necessarily anything big that you have to do, just little things to improve, and you just keep adding on to it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, even just walking across someone's lawn. I know they probably moan about me doing it, but half the time they've got the cars and that blocking the path, so I've got to cut across the grass anyway. So, and in my head, I'm like, yes, I can walk on the grass. But it just as soon that first step onto the grass is just the best feeling ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't, like I said, I can't explain. I don't know why. I know it's to do with earthing and that, and I think it's because I'm more open to it now with like doing this.
Right.
But it just when we go out for a walk, I'll walk if it's not too wet and it's not full of crap and that. I'll walk in the grass.
I mean, I would assume, and I've seen you do it, you know, where you take your EMF meter out to a tree or whatever, see if you can get a reading or whatever. I'm assuming once you get off that asphalt or concrete, then the frequencies all around you change.
Yeah.
So they might not necessarily be coming through your rubber soles or leather of your shoes, but you can absorb it probably the rest of your body by that frequency radiating out of the ground and the trees and whatever plant life they have in their yard.
Yeah. Well, with you saying that, I did want to plug it anyway. We're going to Rendlesham Forest next Saturday.
Ah.
So there's myself, Simon Riley, Tim Smith, the guy who's done my tattoos, doing some more tomorrow. And I'm meeting up with Elaine, well, two Elaines, One Foot's who's in the chat, and Og. So it's One Foot's Elaine Bright. She's the one that organised it. She normally does it midweek, which I can't get to because I'm working. And this one was on a Saturday. It's like, yes, I'm going. Don't care what else is going on. I'm definitely going to that one. So there's a couple of people that are coming to mine, and then I'm going to drive down from it. It's about 2 hours from where I live, but it's a nice drive as well. So I'm getting there a little bit early because I want to go to a couple of places beforehand, and then we're going to meet up, and then it's going to be like late afternoon, early evening. So it's going to start getting dark while we're there. But I've not been there while it's been dark. So I'm a bit not worried, a bit anticipating.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens.
Anxious.
Yeah, that's it. Anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who knows what you'll encounter? I mean, isn't that so weird? You know, that you just have that mindset thinking that anything paranormal or weird is going to happen at night compared to day. When if they're supernatural or whatever, they should be able to do it anytime they want.
Exactly. But I think it's more because first of all, it's paranormal, so you don't know really what you're dealing with. Then secondly, because it's night and it's dark, you can't see what's going on. So not only do you not know what you're dealing with, you can't see it to judge what's happening.
Right.
So you've got a confliction there straight away with yourself. And that's where you get in the fight or flight mode, I think. And that's when your heart starts pumping and you're like, the heavy breathing starts and all that. But I think, I know it's going to be good. Yeah, even if nothing happens, it doesn't matter. It's just the experience of going there and doing that and meeting up with these great people as well. Yeah. So,
it's a special place. I mean, it's just like somebody going to Stonehenge or, you know, Roswell or whatever. Whether you have an experience or not, it's just the atmosphere and knowing the history of the place that's special. Yeah.
Well, I've been twice before and I've met up with Alex Lovelock. The first time it's just me and him. The second time, Mike Millwood met up with his daughter and their dog. And each time, even though it was only twice, we had different things happen both times. So the first time we seen orbs across the floor, and then I seen a German soldier walking the opposite way through the trees through a peripheral. But as soon as I turned, it was gone. And then Alex, he could hear some humming. I couldn't hear it straight away. And then as soon as I started hearing it, it like faded out. And that was the one where I've got the K2 meter and I'm on the tray and the numbers are going up. So on the bottom line, can't remember what that one is. I've not used it for a while. The numbers on that, when we're in a cemetery and it's like the same as the flashing lights, the numbers at the bottom always stay at 0. But when we was touching the tray, them numbers were going up as well as the top one. So
wow.
Yeah. And that was middle of nowhere. There's no gas pipes, there's no water pipes, there's no electricity. It's like bang in the center. They've chopped a lot of trees down, and that was where Alex used to see a lot of shadow people. But there's nothing else. There's nothing around there. You can't even see any houses. No farms, no barns, nothing.
Oh
No
my gosh.
not a thing. So
Any signs of UFOs around that forest?
well, that was 1980 Christmas Day, Christmas Eve. That was where the UFO was spotted. That was the one that was 8 foot long.
Right.
Okay.
They've got a
trees.
They've got a replica of it there. It looks like a giant lemon squeezer. It really does. It's supposed to be the same size, and it's got the mat. So when the guy, I can't remember the guy's name, but when he touched it, he downloaded the data and he's got them. I think it's 7 or 8 different symbols.
Right.
But there's more to it than that. There's other UFO sightings, and there's another UFO that landed just the other side of the farmer's field that you can't get into now because it's all fenced off, and it drops down. But where the replica of the UFO isn't the actual point of where it was seen. There's a tree where me and Alex were, and Elaine knows this story as well. I'm not sure if she was there, but where that tree is about 2 foot behind the trees where the fence is. That's supposed to be the actual landing site, and that's where we was leaning on this branch that comes down, and there's like 2. I won't even call them orbs because it was only 2-dimensional. There was like hexagonal, same color as a tangerine, just going across the floor, and it did it twice, and we both noticed them. And then that's where Alex has got a photograph. It's him and his daughter, and there's someone stood behind them, and there's nobody there. But it's the same sort of thing. It looks like a SS uniform with a tunic that comes around, that drops over the bum at the back. It's just yeah,
crazy.
It's that's all I've got. It's that's it. But I don't know. It's just when you go in, it doesn't feel. There's no like you walk in, it doesn't hit you. It's just a forest. If you didn't know anything about it, other than where it's got the sign saying UFO trail, you wouldn't know it was there. But then we walked down the other side at Eastgate Car Park, and we walked down to the back of the Woodbridge airfield. So it's like the bottom end of the runway, and they've still got some hangars there and a couple of sheds, a couple of brick buildings. We were stood there, nobody else about, and we could hear what sounded like 2 females having a conversation, and there's no one there. We're probably about 8 foot away from the fence. There's definitely nobody else about. So
wow,
we don't know what that was.
It brings to thought, that they say that if your loved one or family members pass, or somebody you're connected with, that every time you think about them or have a memory of them, that brings that spirit to you. Right. So it makes me wonder, if you go out into these forests or wherever, it might not be a haunted forest. It might not necessarily be a paranormal forest, but you thinking about that brings that element with you or to you.
Yes. So if you're carrying that energy, and then when you get you release it. Yeah, I never thought of it like that before.
Yeah, because it might. I mean, just like houses here in the U.S. or even what we always call the old country, in Europe, where it seems like Europe has a lot of hauntings compared to the U.S., even though we have a lot too. But look at how many people have passed away in our homes in the olden days. You weren't in hospitals, or you were on your property or in your houses. So how many paranormal events really are there just in everyday houses that we don't think about?
Well, that's the thing, because this is my main question is there's so much people, not just people, but plants, animals, creatures that have lived and passed.
Right.
So, and then you've got villages that have been knocked down, it's been rebuilt over, and then that's been knocked down. It's got, each time it's been modernized. So you've got that going on. Then you've got places where, like where you are in the middle of nowhere, you don't know, like 500-600 years ago, there could have been a village there, Unless you
Right.
look, unless you've looked at the history and you actually know what's gone on there,
Right.
you don't know like medieval or dark ages and all that what was going on, who was living there, and all that kind of stuff.
Or even closer, Native Americans, how many of them died or was in a fight or a skirmish out in these fields behind us. We don't know.
That was it, because you had the different tribes, not just like when the Europeans went over, taken over, but before that, you had the tribes that were attacking each other that didn't get on. So it's been going on for thousands of years. So with all the bloodshed and everything that's gone on, surely there must be tons and tons of energy that's gone back into the ground.
Right.
And some of it must stay there.
You would think so. I mean, I bring that up all the time about paranormal. It's like, we're used to seeing Victorian, paranormal stuff or apparitions or Civil War people or, stuff like that. And you can tell that they're in a different time period because of their clothing or how they act. Well, where's the dinosaurs? Where's the caveman? Where, we've seen ghost dogs, we've seen ghost cats and stuff. So where's the dinosaurs?
Yeah, where's Ghost Dino?
But this is the other thing. When they say about Bigfoot, it's like, is that the ghost of a caveman? See, someone mentioned that to me a while back, and I'm like, oh, could be. And that's
that
why
would explain the disappearance and going behind a tree and not seeing it again.
Well, we interviewed a First Nation Indian from Canada, and they believe that some of their spirit guides and ghosts are elderly Sasquatch that they're talking to.
Yes, I've heard that before. Yeah. So are Sasquatch then part of what we believe is the caveman history, but not caveman? If that makes sense, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, Canada still describes some of their Bigfoot Sasquatch as the hairy man.
Yeah, so, or even the medicine men as well.
Yeah.
Because they're known to, Sasquatch has been known to shapeshift.
Yeah.
And and Jane and I have been talking about, not to get religious or anything, but we talked about where what is it, Jane? Jacob, was it Jacob? Where they rubbed the hair on it. The father was blind, and the only way to recognize the son was by the touch of the fur on his arm. So was that like a
I don't know the
Sasquatch, a Bigfoot, or a hybrid?
But the scripture was these two brothers, and he killed the brother. Well, the dad wanted to talk to the brother, so he didn't want him to know that he killed his brother. So he put an animal pelt on his arm. So then dad, knew that it was that one son. Well, no one's that hairy. So now people are wondering, okay, was that a Sasquatch? Because I think it was different moms, they weren't the same mother, father. So, I mean, no one's that hairy. And even any blind man would know that's too hairy. That feels like an animal.
Yeah.
Well, so he's supposed to feel like that. So now they're wondering, okay, was that brother a Sasquatch?
Is it all these things Sasquatch that, are actually hairy man, the caveman, were they Sasquatches? We don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
I know. Well, that's it. We weren't there. But then you get, like you mentioned about dinosaurs, I've got a big thing about whether dinosaurs exist or not, or to the degree of what we believe they look like is more to the point. Not that I believe there's creatures here before we were here, but also during, because all these cave paintings and drawings, and like is it petroglyphs that show images of these giant creatures,
right?
Who drew them? Who carved them? It wasn't the other animals that didn't have hands and opposable thumbs. It must have been some sort of human type creature that have done these paintings. So therefore, they did exist while a form of man was around at the same time.
There's still reports in the jungles of Africa in a certain area where they're saying they're still seeing glimpses of little dinosaurs. They're not great big
Yeah.
T-Rex or whatever, but they're bigger than a Gila monster or whatever. So they're like these premature or I don't know, altered DNA dinosaurs that they're actually getting glimpses of in these swampy areas or the Everglades.
Yeah. But then, so here's another thing. So growing up, school and that, I always believed in evolution. I don't know if it's because it was like, that was what we was taught constantly. It was just evolution more than anything else. So evolution obviously means you evolve to adjust to the climate and the conditions.
Right.
So if we've evolved from monkeys and apes and chimps, why are they still around? Because surely that's why you evolve, because that's not working.
Right. I don't think we necessarily evolve. I like
I don't
acclimate, just like us as a northerner or northern state go down to Florida. We think it's nice and warm or whatever, but then the longer we stay there, it's like, oh, well, we're actually are going through seasons just different. I mean, you'll get cold, you'll get warm.
Yeah.
The longer you stay there, and some features on animals have changed over time, but not to a different species or not to a whole complete different animal. They might have a curved beak now to help them with something they need to do, dig out worms or out of a hole in a tree, but they don't turn into a whole different species.
Exactly. But also, I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, I was reading the comment. I am going to do that in a minute, Elaine. So I'm gonna leave that on the screen a minute. I'm gonna put the videos up in a second. But yeah, so say evolution is a thing, and I'm not fully convinced anymore. It might be, but not to the degree that we're being told it is. So if we say we have evolved from ape-like creatures, yeah, what's not to say, I think I spoke about this before, what's not to say that because there are tribes out there that live in the water, they go hunting in the water, they stay in the water, and they only come on land for a few hours a day. I can't remember, I think they're in South Africa somewhere. Sorry, South America. What's not to say that we've gone back into the water and we have evolved, and that's what mermaids do exist. Why could we not go back and evolve into bird-like or flying creatures?
Mothman?
Yeah, well, with the wings. I'm not. You'd have to have some sort of wing, like what they called, appendages.
I don't know. Reverse evolution.
Well, it's kind of like, well, you get to a certain point, and then it's all going to split off again. Like we were saying about trees, you've got the tree, and then it branches off, and it goes off all different directions. So why can they kind of like not go back, but more advanced?
Right.
Yeah. So you kind of going back to the beginning, but you've got that advancement about it. So you've got land, sea, and air. But then what about the one, say, like what they call the rake and all that, where you've got the creatures that are in Earth. So if they've gone down and gone underground and they're not getting the sunlight, then they're going to have different skin texture, different skin complex, different size.
After generations, their DNA would adapt to whatever they're used to. Yeah. It's kind of what we were talking about, moving from north to south. Yeah.
So, it kind of is like reverse engineering, but with an advantage point of, well, you've been there, so you're kind of going back, and then it's just like going to and fro, but different levels, I suppose.
I imagine. I mean, anything's possible. I mean, if you go by the folklore, whatever, mermaids and mermen were actually the watchers were turned into them. So we had watchers of the seas or the islands that were turned into mermaids.
Yeah.
And, we had the sirens. And I think you had a show talking about this stuff. You had the sirens on the shore luring men to their death, so that's has a demonic aspect to it.
Yeah, it's like English Bob has just put. If you look at the human embryo, at one point we have gills. We have gills up until I think it's 4 or 5 months until the lungs start
developing and taking over,
creating. Yeah, and it's not until I think it's not until they're fully developed that the gills start to go, and the gills are actually on the neck. So
I'm actually surprised
why?
that there hasn't been a scientist or government that has taken a born out of the womb and kept it in liquid its whole life to see how it develops.
How do we know they've not? That's the thing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what they do on Plum Island. Maybe that was what the creature climbed up on the shore was. I don't know.
It could be. And I think it wouldn't just be one either, because they'd have to have 2 or 3 just to do the comparison.
Maybe that's how we
between
get the
them.
zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, I do believe, like when they say there's no evidence of Bigfoot, no evidence of Dogman, all these different cryptids, somebody somewhere, or they, whoever they are, have all these different ones. They have more than one. You've got the main species, and then you've got all the subspecies of them. And then I think they're just doing hybrids between them to see what they can come up with, what they can create.
Well, I mean, you always have were they brought here by aliens, cryptids? Were they experimented by the 3-letter agencies or whoever you want to say without getting specific? Or is it part of that? Or are they flesh and blood and have they always been here before we were here? I mean, there's so many different things to think about and try to wrap your head around it. And it could be a mixture of all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why sometimes I feel like I'm backtracking when I'm talking about stuff, but I'm not. As I'm talking, I'm thinking, I'm like, well, that kind of doesn't make sense. And then that's why there is so much contradiction when it comes to the paranormal, because you can say one thing and in the next sentence you say something else that completely changes what you just said, but they both make sense and they're both feasible at the same time.
Well, see, that's what me and Jane do. We sit here and we, like, after this show, we'll probably talk about it some more and we'll bounce stuff off of each other. And our opinion is always evolving, not necessarily changing, but we like to think out of the box. I mean, if you don't have an open mind, you're going to slowly close off and not think about this stuff at all. I mean, that's why you had people that were only into paranormal. They were only into UFOs and aliens, and they were only into cryptids or whatever. They'd never ventured off in these other things. And now I think people are starting to open up their mind and thinking, okay, these things are all connected somehow. How are they connected? And you start getting in all these fields, start looking down all these different, rabbit holes and avenues.
Yeah.
So we all have a puzzle in our head and we all have pieces missing in our image, and we're taking little bits and like out of this conversation today, we'll take a little piece and it's like, oh, well, this kind of fits to make the picture a little more whole right here.
Yeah,
and
it's like
always
jigsaw.
changing.
Yeah, and it's them little missing pieces.
And I don't think we'll ever complete the puzzle.
And I, as you know, I don't want to. I like not knowing.
Right. That's the excitement of the experience, going out there and looking for information and investigating. I mean, that's what it's all about. I hope Sasquatch is, I like to know if it's there, but I hope he's never caught or put in a zoo or experimented on. I just like the thought that he is there and all this stuff around it is happening, and it gives me something to think about.
Yeah, the knowing that all these different things do exist.
Yeah.
So I've got a question for you. It is gone off a bit of a tangent, but I've been thinking about this for the last few days, and I don't think I've asked anyone yet. So you have a body, yeah, and you have your consciousness and your soul. Lately, people are saying that they're both 2 different things. So going back to the fetus, so when you're a fetus and you're growing, and then you're going to be born, when does the soul enter the body?
I believe at conception.
Do you?
Yep, exactly.
I believe this because when I got 3 kids, I sensed there was something inside of me that it wasn't just something with us. I mean, I felt there was another being with me. So I believe at conception the spirit is there.
Yeah.
That's my opinion though.
Yeah. No. Because I've been thinking about it the last week, and it's been bugging me because it can't just it's a fetus and it's a baby. Does it as it's born, it goes into it then? Or like you said on conception. But then I don't know. I'm not saying I don't believe what you said. That does make a lot of sense. But
right,
when it's just something you cannot get your head round.
Right.
Well, just on the physical aspect, we all know we have energy and electricity running through our body.
Yeah.
That's how our nerves and synapses and all that works. So on conception, there is electrical energy transferred into that embryo or into that egg and that sperm as it happens.
Yeah.
So you can literally say that, at conception, that's when it happens. But then if you want to go into the spiritual realm, if we have a soul family where we all pick, okay, I'm coming back as Geralt in this lifetime to experience this or learn this lesson. So my soul was already formed before I came into this body.
Yeah. So then, but this is the thing. So with the soul, is the soul created? Because this was the next part of the question. Or is the soul already there? And then it becomes part of this new life?
I believe we've been with Source this whole time. There's no time up there, past, present, and future. Everything is there. We were already created. We've been with him this whole time. He's just spits us out once in a while and sends us down here. In a way.
No, I get that. Yeah.
I don't believe actually created on that moment. I think we've been with him.
Yeah. So do you think then that it's just one soul that's split into billions, or is it billions of different souls?
I heard a show years ago, and it made so much sense. You look at the ocean. Ocean is one, but that ocean can be broke down into droplets or even mist.
Yeah.
You put the droplets and mist together, you have one source, but we're all individual in that main source. That's how I kind of see, or that's how it explained to me anyway.
Yeah. No, that makes sense with the water thing.
Those philosophical things that you can sit here and twist your mind up and, try to wrap it around your head, and there's no way. How do you explain it?
Yeah.
I know.
It is a good question, though. I mean, it can make, it can make your head
sorry,
hurt
it was
about it too long.
Sorry, it was you guys that got.
No, that's all right. I mean, like I said, we talk about this stuff all the time.
I talk about anything
comes up, we start talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then, would you say that when we die, the soul leaves the body and then it goes into the next one, or does it go back to the source and then it comes out as something different? Or could it be both?
I think it goes back to the soul family or the source, and then you, from what people have told me, you either have a choice to come back or not to come back, depending on how it's worked out. But you definitely have a higher consciousness.
Oh my!
Look who shows up!
Oh, here she is. Better late than never.
Hey, we just popped on to say hi, guys. I know the show's ending, so
it is.
We've still got a while.
We have a marathon.
Okay. Oh, we're going marathon today?
Yeah, we're going on for another 5 hours, I thought.
All right.
Since we're not technically part of the 24-hour, we just thought we'd make our own. We just thought
that's fine.
This is
that's fine. Yeah. Oh. But we talk. Well, I have you heard any of the show so far?
Anyway,
what has been anything that we've been talking about?
I have not. We just got to the hotel. I have Anne Marie, psychic, medium Anne Marie.
Hi.
I have Lisa.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So we just got here.
Oh, cool.
That looks looks like a nice room.
Yeah.
It is very nice. You want to see our view here of the seaport?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Nice.
And I'm stuck in England. Shit
You're in the
hole.
wrong
Sorry,
country.
but it is
Well, you can go outside, Andy.
dark,
Oh, it's
miserable.
dark. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, very, very dark. No, I was just asking Gerald and Jane about the soul. When does it enter the body? Like the fetus, or is it when it's
Oh
born?
God.
And Jane was saying on
Conception.
Conception.
Well, funny because Anne Marie here has a unique perspective on that. I'm sure
Oh,
when she is a birth doula. When does the soul enter the fetus?
As soon as it's conceived.
there you go, Jane.
Yep.
As soon as
Yeah.
the egg and the sperm meet, we have a live human being with
Yep.
a soul and a spirit.
So
Well,
would
that's
you
what
say
we
that?
believe. We believe that also. But then I brought up the fact that, well, other people have the aspect of if you have a higher consciousness or a soul family, and then the soul comes in at the time of conception from somewhere else.
Yeah, well, you actually have the cells of your mother in you for most of your body. Your mother will hold, and your grandmother, the lineage holds the cell DNA also of the child that is within the mother. So like your
Ah,
mother still has your DNA in her.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And
So
it just
would
goes
you
back and back
say?
and back.
Yeah. So would you say the soul is created at that moment, or the soul comes from the source?
I feel like our souls are created long before we're even connected. We're connected because of our souls.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the general gist of what we're at now, anyway. So,
And I have the privilege for 10 years, or actually 27 years, of seeing women birth babies
yeah,
from the onset of originally learning they're pregnant until long after their babies are born.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
use my psychic abilities and my intuitiveness to help them through pregnancy and anxiety and connecting and life guidance.
right. So I've now got another question.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, they're not trick questions. They just keep popping up in my
They're
head.
all trick questions. I'm putting my phone
No,
down.
no. So, would you be able to tell then if the soul was good or bad?
Oh, wow.
In my opinion, every soul that is created with goodness in their heart. And it's the environment or the people around you, whether or not you absorb their negativity or negative behaviors, impact you in a way that causes you not to be a good person or make good decisions.
Yeah, yeah, get that. But get corrupted. Yeah,
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
correct.
I mean, I believe the same thing. Of course, I was brought up a Christian, so it says all people not of
Original.
age, babies or young ones will, when they pass away, they will go to heaven. So that means they were inherently good and not
Mhm.
corrupted. Other than that, but I mean, at the same time, you hear people talk about, well, that was just a bad seed from the very beginning. That child
Yeah.
was mean and nasty the whole time from the day it was born. It was difficult. So
But that's called mental illness, and that's not a bad seed. That's called mental illness without people that have identified it and helped that child manifest
Yeah.
into a better person and work with that child. That's what we call autism or
Yeah, yeah.
neurodivergent or whatever the new words are today. But the truth is that there's no such thing as a bad seed. The bad seed comes from repeated abuse, and either you break the cycle or you follow the cycle.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking.
No, my pleasure. Jane, your take on that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. It
I mean,
does make a
I've
lot
got
of
enough.
sense,
I
doesn't
mean,
it? It
you think
does.
one thing, and then with an open mind, you can change, back and
Yeah.
forth. And no one's an expert, but yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a psychic medium, you certainly are an intuitive empath, and you walk into a room, it's not a great feeling sometimes.
Oh yeah.
No.
Because you
I.
walk in and you're like, yep, that person doesn't like me. Yep, that
Mm-hmm.
person's negative.
Yeah.
That person I'm going to stay away from.
Yep.
And
Done
you put
that.
up your shields and you block yourself to protect yourself the whole time.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
so glad
Yeah.
I'm not a psychic.
I do it. I do it every day.
I don't need to know who
Wow.
doesn't like me.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
not a good gift. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's you could.
Sometimes it's not, but I'll go on my gut has never done me wrong.
Right. It
I
helps
mean,
me.
I'll have
Yeah. It's
that.
a warning.
Yeah.
I'll have
Yeah, I
that
mean-
feeling once in a while meeting somebody. It's like either I really like them or I just instantly something's weird about them. But I don't normally every day have a feeling of, okay, this person, whatever. I just like, I don't care. I don't even want to know. I just
Yeah.
go about my business kind of like a dumb old dog, like, blah, 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 and all this stuff's happening around me. And Jane will go,
Yeah.
did you see that? Did you feel that? And it's like, no, I didn't.
Well, I do
Just
my best
carrying
to
on with your
block all
day.
the negative energy, but
Right.
I'm not blind enough not to let some of it in so I can be protected.
Yeah.
But I don't let it penetrate me where I'm like being negatively impacted. I'll block it first, but at least
Mhm.
I'm aware of it.
Yeah. No, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you for coming on, Nicole. Appreciate it. But I need to put the videos on of one second. 1, 2, 3.
I think
4.
Elaine left.
Yeah, we still got some videos to go through.
Yeah.
Got 5 videos to go through.
All right, we're
So-
gonna pop off and head down to the party. I just wanted to say hi.
No,
Bye.
thank
thank-
you.
Let me
Hello.
Thank you for coming, popping on,
Nice
and
to
I hope
meet
you
you.
guys have a great weekend.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Have a good weekend. Bye, guys.
Don't have too much fun.
Oh, we will. There'll be pictures.
See you later. Take
Bye.
care.
Julio.
Bye.
I said
Thank you.